Okay, what we're gonna do right now is we're gonna cook that chicken that I've got. I've got the grill situated here with charcoal just in one little area. I'm gonna actually go with the chicken legs directly over the fire and the chicken breast indirect. So here's my fire area right here. Got about a dozen pieces of chicken. I'm gonna cook that directly over the fire. Got more fire than I really need right now, but that's all right. And I'm just putting them on there. Most people at this particular time worry about the chicken sticking, the skin tearing. But you'll see what I mean in a few minutes. I'll show you. Now I've got chicken breast left over. I got an area here that has no charcoal. I'm gonna put that chicken breast, I'm gonna overlap it right here on the side. And that's where there's no charcoal, so that's indirect cooking. You can see that fire building up underneath those legs, but that's okay. Now you can see I've got a lot of the marinade still hanging in there. I'm gonna save that. I'm gonna slide that into my box so I can save that. At this particular point, I'm just gonna close it down. After about 10-12 minutes, I'm gonna open it up. I'm gonna pick up the legs, put them down, pick them up, put them down, leave them unturned, but just do it that way. The chicken breast is doing a thing, indirect heat, and that's the way it is. So now I'm gonna bring it down and let the heat do its thing. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and check this chicken because it's been on for about 10 minutes. And we don't want the legs to start to stick and start to tear. And so right now, I actually will pick it up and they're starting to stick just a little bit. So I'm actually picking them up and putting them down. We got a lot of fire for a few pieces, but we're gonna be all right. Doesn't take long to cook chicken, but we're gonna slow the process down just a bit. So I'm actually overlapping them a little bit just to slow that whole process down. The chicken breast, I'm not going to touch it off. They're just sitting together. There's no fire. There's no fire underneath those breasts. They're going in direct heat. That's all I'm going to do with them right now. Just leave them just like that. And then walk away from them. And when I close it down this time, I realized that the fire is a little bit brighter than I wanted to be, so I actually closed the vents off a little bit more. My bottom vents right now, because it's a breezy day, are pretty much closed off, but I'm actually closing the top vents off and just letting the smoke do its thing. So right now we're in pretty good shape. I'll check it probably another 10 minutes because it's cooking. The chicken breasts are going fine, but the legs are cooking just a little faster than I really want them to right now, but they're still fine. Okay, so these are just chicken legs and they're progressing along, and chicken breasts are sitting on the side just slowly doing their thing, but I'm actually stacking these legs up. Don't have that many of them on here. And as I do this, I'll show you a little trick. I'm going to take these breasts, move them over. I'm just going to move them closer to the fire side. They're actually cooking, but nice and slowly. Move these closer to the fire side and overlap them. And I'm going to pour the rest of that marinade on all of this. I got that marinade that I had when I started with. I'm going to just drizzle that over the top of the legs. See the flames come up because of that, but that's bringing smoke and flavor right into the meat. Okay, by doing that, now when I close it down, not going to be much longer on the legs, but the chicken breast itself still needs a way to go. The chicken breast is probably about 60% done, and the chicken legs are a little bit closer to more like 80% done. So So I'm gonna actually bring it down to cool the fire down and let the smoke, as I pour that marinade on, that smoke is gonna come up. These legs are actually ready to come off. Wasn't much to these. I'm just gonna look at the breasts, flip them. These breasts are probably about 80% ready. Haven't seen any fire. Chicken legs themselves, I'm actually gonna pull them. I'll put them in the black box. I got some of that residue affecting that pan. I'll just throw them right in there anyway. Just take these right off. Leave that one on. Ready. These other few on, and the breasts are doing their thing. They're getting to be firm, but not quite ready. These legs, I usually sauce them up, and I'll sauce those up as I take them off. But right now, I'll just leave them in the box, and we'll pull all the chicken off together. So that's that for the legs. Well, once the chicken is done, we are pretty good shape here. Still got a lot of fire. Let those babies finish it. It probably takes another 10-12 minutes. Had a couple of legs that weren't quite ready, and you get every now and then when you do them, you get a couple of pieces that look a little raggedy, but it's the flavor of it that's so good. So. Now this chicken breast, I'm actually gonna put them right on the fire side and let them finish off for the next 5 minutes or so, and then I'm gonna pull them. So these chicken breasts are basically almost done, and then these legs, I'm just gonna pop these last few legs off. Give this breast a few more minutes. They're pretty firm, but I'm gonna give them just about 5 minutes. So right now, these breasts have been smoked. They're nice and firm, not too firm. Any more time than this, they look good. Oh yeah, I like that one. So I'll pull these off. Just throw them in here. And they're still cooking for a few minutes, even when they're in the box. Okay, I'm gonna pull these off. I'm gonna take this one in, and we'll take this one and we'll slice into that in a few minutes. And those pieces, you let the seasoning do what it does, and it's pretty. Nobody needs a big chunk of chicken breast. It's take a piece of that and eat it, and life is good. Let me talk about this thing. What I've done with this is this breast needs no sauce. It has its dry rub on it, and it is perfect. But it breaks away and just melts in your mouth. You could take this breast and some whole wheat bread, put mayonnaise on it, layer it onto the bread, put your lettuce, tomatoes on there, and have a great sandwich. A little bit of mustard, but this is perfect. Okay, right now we're gonna have a few burgers going on the grill, and the grill right now, the fire is hot. Got a little space. It's nice and hot. And when you cook burgers, you want it to be hot because you're gonna cook them hot and fast. So these burgers here, you can hear them sizzling as I put them on. Got about 8 of them. There we go. That's got enough charcoal for all 8 of them. They're all sitting there, and I would say about, wait about 10 minutes, maybe a little bit less. Then I'll go in and check them and turn them over. It's gonna take us no longer than 20 minutes, maybe 15 minutes to cook those burgers. But right now, if you look at it, you got the flame coming up at the bottom. It's gonna cook hot and fast, and the way I season it with that Worcestershire sauce that's on there, it's gonna give it a really nice flavor. Okay, right now, if you look at that grill, you've got smoke coming off the sides, you got it coming off the top, because right now I've got about 8 burgers on there, and the idea with burgers is to cook them hot and fast. And so the fire is burning nicely. And now when I open that up, I can take these burgers and just flip them. Got the tongs. Most people use spatula. I don't want all that gunk off the grill. I'm just gonna turn these babies over. And they're nice thick burgers. And that's it. But the flavor of these burgers are just so nice. And these burgers are gonna have another 10 minutes on that side, and then I'll pull them off. But they're looking good. Absolutely looking good. As a matter of fact, if you take this burger and look at the side of it and see how thick it is, it's a nice thick burger. That's a nice meaty burger. 80-20 on meat, on the beef to fat. So 80-20 ratio. That's just a pretty burger. Okay, I'm gonna close it down and let the smoke continue to do its thing. Okay, what we're gonna do right now is I got some hot fire. I don't need a lot of it, but I've got 2 ribeye steaks. And okay, we're gonna play games here. Two very nice thick ribeye steaks. We're gonna lay them down and watch them sizzle. So you can see that fire down there. That's what I want. I want them to be over the fire side. And I'm gonna give them about 8 minutes on one side, and then another 8 minutes on the other side. Maybe one of them I'll give it maybe 6 minutes, and it'll be more of a medium. But it's gonna be pretty. You can excuse my chewing, but we're gonna check on these steaks. Okay. Really, in all reality, we're gonna let that go another few minutes before we flip them. It's a pretty thick steak. So I'll let it go another 4 minutes or so, and then I'm gonna flip those steaks over. I'll let it go about 6 minutes on the other side, and then I'll pull them off. But they're looking pretty good. Flip these 2 steaks over. Oh yeah. Beautiful. And so in another 5 minutes or so, 5-6 minutes, that'll be ready. 2 beautiful ribs. Absolutely perfect. Okay, what I didn't do, see how the juice is set up in there? That is pretty. That's just absolutely pretty. And these are about medium right now, but they're perfect. Okay, right now, basically, I'm getting a grill set for smoking brisket. Getting a grill set for smoking some pork butt. What I do with a regular grill, instead of using a smoker, I create a smoker out of my grill. So what I've done is I stacked this charcoal on this wall, and my charcoal is stacked here. When I put the grill piece over, my brisket is going to be way over on the other side. I'm actually going to have I'm going to pick this up right now and let you see that piece is right there. And the opening back there is going to be for my hickory chips. Do this now. Okay. Okay, I'm actually putting a few more chunks of wood onto this charcoal. I've got my charcoal stacked up on the wall. We're actually setting this grill up for basically some slow cooking, some slow smoking. So pulled pork or brisket. So now you got the wet wood sitting on top of that charcoal at the edge, and you got the charcoal sitting there. We're actually gonna put the meat in this area here. Okay, what I've got here is a piece of pork butt, and this pork butt is about 7 pounds. Now, if you notice that's inside this foil, you can see some juices in there. Well, my dry rub has basically some brown sugar. Usually the dry rub has maybe molasses or brown sugar. So basically, after sitting overnight, it has now dissolved into a syrup. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this piece of meat right here. My fire is on this wall over here. And basically and you can see the dry rub and everything on top. And the reason I put this inside foil for my pork butt is because I actually wanted to cook and collect a lot of that flavor and that juice on the sides and stuff. I still want to get burnt ends, but I can get that towards the end. Also, if you notice, there's a bone, there's a blade bone right there. And when this is ready, I'll be able to take my finger and slide that bone right out. So right now, we got the heat over here, and this is over here, and this is gonna take us about 6 hours, 6.5, 7 hours. But this will never come in contact with the fire. The fire is way over here. My pork butt is all the way over there. It's a beautiful thing. Okay, I'm just gonna move this out of the way. Okay. Okay, I'm going to show this to you inside the pan. This is I dry rub this piece of brisket. It's about a 10-pound piece of brisket, and you can see the juice is hanging on the edge. That's just as the syrups have dissolved, the brown sugar has dissolved. So what I'm going to do is, this is the fat side of it, and the bottom side is the more meaty side, which you can't really tell right now because it's been dry rubbed on both sides. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove this. I'm going to put this on the grill. All my fire is back on that wall. This is going to be all the way up here. You can see what I got in the pan right here, and that's sugar, and that's part of that dry rub. I'm just going to sort of drizzle that right over the top. No sense in wasting it. This piece of meat is going to cook probably about an hour per pound, and it's going to cook probably a good 10 to 11 hours. Now you notice there's fire coming up in the back, but as soon as I close this down, this is going to trap that down, and that's going to become nothing but smoke. But and you can see how far away that's going to cook. I want this to cook. My internal temperature inside this grill is probably going to be somewhere around 275 degrees. And it's going to cook nice and slow. And after about 6 hours or so, I'm going to restock my flames a little bit and then put it back on and let it go the rest of the way. I'm trying to get the internal temperature of this to ultimately be at about 190 degrees. And that's where we stand. Okay, we're opening it up. This is that pork butt. This piece of pork butt that I had basically in that foil, and you could see that this is about 6 hours or so, and the juices have come up around that. This is probably about an hour away from being done. I'm actually gonna take this piece and remove it from the foil in a few minutes and let it go indirect heat. And the reason for that is because I want to get the burnt end effect on this. So this piece is very hot right now. And for the most part, this piece of meat is you could actually eat it right now, but as far as I'm concerned, it's not done. So now you can see all the juices there that's in there in the dry rub, and you can see how underneath how it looks here, and that bone is right here. I'm going to leave it right here in this position here, and this is actually closer to the fire, and within about an hour I'll be able to just take that bone and slide it out, but then my outsides will actually darken up a bit, so I have those burning end that I'm looking for. So when I do shred it apart, I'll get a mixture of the burnt ends, and all the meat is going to be extremely tender. So that is, and you can see that's just some of the wood pieces burning off the top in the background. But the charcoals, I did restock the charcoals probably about two hours ago, and then it's looking pretty good right now. So that's it on the pork butt, and we'll just let that finish off. Okay, now we're gonna open it up. It's been about 7 hours or so, and let's see what the brisket looks like now. I just recently put a few more pieces of hickory wood back there. That's why it's burning up like that. But this is the brisket that you saw in the beginning. And for the most part, most people would think that it's done right now, but it's not. You can see the backside of it, and there's still softness there. But the outsides are probably as hard as I want them to be. So what I'll do here is I am going to take and do a temperature check. Trying to get it up to about 158, 160, 165 degrees. So I'm just checking the temperature in several different spots. Even without the thermometer, I could tell you that I'm right about that point right now. Yeah, that's good. About 150 something there. So I'm checking this baby out just to check the temperature. But you can see this is how it's gonna look. I want to keep the moisture in there, so what I'm gonna do now is, oh yeah, that's where I want it to be. Okay, so what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna pull this piece of meat away. Put this piece of meat on foil. Let me pull this down for a few minutes. I don't want that to get any hotter than it should be. I'm gonna wrap it like that, and I'm gonna get rid of the rest of this foil. And I'm gonna lay it like that. Bring it over this way because I want to close it up completely. So now I've enclosed this piece of meat completely. And you can see the smoke coming up on this. The temperature inside is going to go back down in a few minutes once I close it off, but you can see all that smoke. I'm going to put that brisket right back here, same spot. And like I said, that'll die down in a few minutes. This is enclosed totally, and to get it up to the temperature that I need to get it to about 190. It's gonna take me probably 2.5 hours to get it there, maybe 3. This whole process with this particular piece of meat takes about 10 hours, about an hour per pound. It was about a 10-pound piece. So I'm gonna close this down, and we're gonna just let it go through the motion. It's still in direct heat on there. It's still in the indirect heat area. It's smoked. It's been smoked as much as it's gonna as much as I need. And right now, it's just gonna finish this cooking stage and get up to 190, and the outside texture would be just the same as it is now. If I leave it uncovered and go up to 190, my outside will be just too hardened, which would actually dry several portions of the meat out. So by wrapping it off like that, I've actually taken 5 and 6 pieces, put them on a grill in direct heat, did the same thing, wrapped them off, brought them up to 190, and then take them off. Once I take it off at 190, I'll unwrap it, let it rest for an hour, and then I'll slice it against the grain. And that is it. The brisket is, we started this, I think about 11 o'clock this morning. It's about almost 7 o'clock in the evening. So we've got to just go another 2.5, 3 hours, and we'll have this done. Okay, right now we're gonna get ready to load a few slabs of ribs and rib tips onto the grill. Okay, putting the first slab on. Gonna overlap them a little bit. Probably almost 3/4 overlap. And just like that. Then I'll take my rib tip lines and I'll put those right on top. These are the tip lines that I cut from these slabs of ribs. Okay, so we're set. That is basically set the way I did it to be for doing these slabs of ribs. This is going to take us about 2 hours, 2.5 hours at the most. Each half an hour, I'll come back and I'll flip them over. I've done barbecues and work other than this. Okay, let me close it. Okay, we are now, ribs have been on for about half an hour. I'm about to open this up. As you can see, I've got the canopy over the top of us because as we've done a lot of the video, the weather has gone from 60 degrees and now it's snowing. So let me show you what's happening here. We're gonna open the grill here. Oops. Those dogs on there. Okay, so happen to have a few dogs on there. That's my lunch there, but we're concentrating on the ribs. So I'm gonna take those rib tips and throw them off to the side. You can see how they look now compared to what they were about a half an hour ago. What we're gonna do is we're gonna flip them over. We overlap them this way. We're gonna overlap them when we turn them over. You can see all the juices that's sitting on top of that. Okay, so now as I flip them over, I'm gonna overlap them the same way as I had them before. Let me play with this. So I'm still gonna overlap them. And you can see how they're starting to get done, and I'm going to put those rib tips right back on top and let it just keep cooking slowly. Like I said, this is about 2 to 2.5 hour process. We've completed about a half an hour. And you can see the juices. The juices are rolling on that, so that's perfect. Like, I've got a little lunch down here. These dogs and hot links are sitting here, and that's basically there's no fire there. There's no charcoal, so this is just cooking in direct heat. So there you go. So you got nothing but heat and smoke. There's no fire coming up on that. Just nothing but heat and smoke. And in another half an hour, I'll flip them back to the original position, and we'll keep going with it. Okay, right now we're right at the hour point. So therefore, I'm going to open this up, and what you will notice is that the smoke will rise. You'll see smoke before you see the meat. So it's smoking. It's cooking with heat and smoke, and I'm going to now move the rib tips off the top again. And they're still they're starting to cook, but they're still fairly raw. And I'm going to take the ribs. I'm going to flip them over. Now you can see the different look. That's a whole different look. Okay, I'm going to flip. I'm going to actually reposition these two. I'm going to put this rib, which is a thicker rib, right there on the end. I'm going to overlap this one here. Still overlapping. I'm gonna flip this over, overlapping that one. You can see the difference in the look. Then I'm gonna take those tips. Actually, at this point, I'm gonna take those tips and put them over here on the side versus putting them back on top. And so that meat is starting to get the color to it. And my lunch down here is starting to look a little decent here. This particular time, with the weather the way it is, I'm gonna actually leave this grill open as I'm talking. I'm gonna leave this grill open just for a few minutes because I'm create a little bit more air, and then when I do close it, I'm gonna open my top vents a little bit more because as I started with this, my fire was a little bit hot, and I closed the vents down pretty close. And so right now, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna open those vents up a little bit, and then close it back down. But I'm gonna leave it sit there just for a few minutes just to get a little bit more air. I wanted to cook it just a little bit hotter. You start to learn how to deal with this. But the one thing about this is my charcoal's underneath that thing there. There's not fire come from it, but all my charcoals are white, and that's important. A lot of times people are cooking on grills and they've got half the charcoal's black, half the charcoal's white. Well, you're only cooking with half the charcoals. So therefore, all your charcoal should be white. Okay, so I'm gonna close this down. And as I do that, I'm gonna go to the top vent and I'm gonna actually open it up some. Take the butt piece. There we go. So now I'm gonna open it about halfway. That's perfect. So you can see the smoke coming off the top. I'm just giving it a little bit more air. Got vents on the bottom also, they're situated, but right now I'm trying to control the top vents a little bit more with the snow coming down, the dampness in the air. I just wanted to open that up a little bit. Oh yeah, still cooking nicely. Right now we're gonna open it up and we're gonna check it out and see where we're at. Here we got these tips sitting off to the side. I'm not worried about that right now. I'm looking at the ribs. Now you can hear the sizzle and everything. It's getting closer to where we should be. I'm gonna spread them a little bit, not as tight as before. Give it a little bit more room. Let me bring this a little bit further this way. So just like that. Just like that. So that the side that they're lying on now, that's the meaty side, and that's the side that you're concerned with. So if you start to mess up a rib and your fire's too hot when you start, then when you start out with the rib on that side, the meat side up. But and then you can always adjust your heat. But right now we're sitting pretty good. We're looking good right now. These are tip lines. I'm just flipping those over. And we're looking good. They're pretty much close to half an hour from just about being done. But right now you can see the smoke coming up and it's starting to have a good look. The tips won't finish before the ribs. The ribs will be done before the tip lines because I had the tip lines just sitting on the top. This really wasn't part of what I was trying to do. I was just trying to go ahead and cook these tip lines and get them out of the way. My main point right here is just the slabs of ribs. But it's smoking up very nicely right now. And you get the charcoal's white. You can hear the sizzling of the meat, and things are looking good. This is about an hour and a half right now. So another half an hour. They should be pretty much done. And if not, then there'll be a couple of them that may take another 10 minutes or so. But that's where we're at. Okay, gotta close it down. Close it down, you gotta make sure you secure it, because if you don't, then you have too much air going into it. Right now you can see the smoke coming off the top. And you got snow coming down on the outside. It's cold outside, but it's still cooking. It's cooking very nicely. Okay, now we're basically, like I said in the beginning, it takes about 2 hours to cook the ribs. Sometimes 2 hours, 10 minutes, 2 hours, a little bit less. Last time we were out checking this, we were at the hour and a half point. Right now it's basically another 15 minutes later, because that last half an hour is the most important part of the cooking process. So as I open it up, you can see all of the smoke. As I flip this one over here, that one is close to being done. This one here, almost. This one here, oh, pretty close, very close. This one right here, that one probably needs a little bit of time. My hot spot is probably right in this area here, so I'm gonna shift this around and move that one over into the hot spot. And I'm concerned with mostly the meat side on that, so I'm gonna shift it right over there. And the biggest reason for that is, if you look at this, you can see how thick this is right in here. And this down here, in my opinion, looks good, but right here is my concern. So I'm gonna flip this one over here, and I'll show you something. So in that last half an hour, I play a few games with this. And I'll show you a little trick here, or something that I look out for. As I take this rib right here, I can put the tongue in the middle, and I can pick it up, and you can see how it flops over. When it flops over like that, it's telling you that that's one indication that it's close to being done. Since that's the hot area, and I know this is closer to being done, I'm going to put this over here, and I'm going to shift this one here over into this area and let it do its thing. And they're, like I said, the rib tips, it's just an add-on, and they'll finish after the ribs, but they're looking good also. Like I said, these rib tips were part of the actual slabs of ribs, and I'm just letting them do their thing, but those ribs are just about done. And so there we are. Got some hot links here, beef hot links that I'm shooting up to the side now, and I'll do the same thing with these dogs. And that is it. Okay, right now as I open this up, these ribs are ready to come off. You can see right now, you can see how they're looking. You can even see a piece of a bone that flipped out of it as I pick the piece up. I can pick this piece up, you can see how it flaps over like that. And so all of these, look at that, that's breaking down. That's how tender it is. So it's, so what I'm gonna do with this is, and this is real delicate because, like I said, it's done. I'm just gonna lay them down here in this sauce. I'm gonna flip it over, and I'm gonna take and lay it on the cutting board just like that. I'll take the next one here, do the same thing. Gonna lay it here flat. I'll flip it over. And I'll overlap them just like I had them from before. Doing the same with this one. You can hear them sizzle when they get right into the sauce. Overlap that one right on top. And our last one here is going to come out in 2 pieces because it was so tender that we lost a bone to it and it was falling apart. So we got this in 2 pieces because it, and you can see the smoke coming from it right there on the tray. Okay, these tips are not done yet, but I'll just leave these out here to finish off. But we're taking those ribs off, and I'm gonna grab my sausages as I go and get those off. But what I'll do is I'll just pick this up and take it with me. And I think I'll grab my sausages and take those. Okay, basically, you can see how that there's a mahogany look to a mahogany glaze look to that, and the reason for that is that part of my dry rub was that Spanish paprika. So on the top, on the meaty side, as it finished cooking, it actually glazed. It glazed in nicely, and then when we sprayed the sauce on it, it's like a high gloss paint. It has a gloss to it versus a mellow dead look.